Okay, let's open this up. So Jim Ratcliffe's interview with Gary Neville on the overlap yesterday. The news broke as we were live pretty much. We were going into it raw. I haven't watched it all the way through at the time last night. We have done now. I think everybody else has done as well. We went through the important quotes in the show last night, but being able to actually watch the Jim Ratcliffe sort of in some moments struggle and squirm in his seat a little bit. He was a bit tetchy, he was a little bit nervous, answering really awkward questions. He says he's a fan of Manchester United. He wants to look after the loyal fans of Manchester United. There were some really important bits in that interview last night that I picked out on as a Manchester United fan looking in on that. Personally, this is going to, I think, and I remember saying it last night, sat there with Kaz watching this interview. There was a moment in that interview where Sir Jim Ratcliffe said he wants to reward the loyal fans. I don't know how he goes about this. I think he may have approached it slightly, not slightly, I think completely in the wrong way. You cannot really say that. And I'm going to go into my reasons for it. But I want to get the vibe from the United fan base, everybody in the chat watching this morning, at the points that you brought up last night. We're going to talk about the ticket prices and that loyal fan side of things. Obviously today United are about to announce the Manchester United, that this club is going to build a 100,000 seater stadium and replace Old Trafford. I want to get your thoughts on that and what's happening with that. What's Sir Jim Ratcliffe said regarding why he cut the funding to the legends. It's like he didn't even know about it, which is another red flag and a warning sign for me about how much he knows his staff and what his people in charge of Manchester United know about Manchester United. And Gary Neville made a good point last night about that. Surely that would be just something that the club would just raise money for anyway each year. One dinner would raise double that amount and just give that to them. You don't have to take it out of the finances. It can be a charity event. There's all this to talk about as well, and everything else leading up to the announcement today. The press conference tomorrow for Ruben Amorim is going to be an absolute doozy. I am at the press conference tomorrow. I am at Carrington. And we are there covering the open training again ahead of the Sociedad game. I'm in the press box, so while we sat there listening to our Ruben Amorim responds to all of what is going on right now, because that is going to get bombarded. He will be bombarded with that. I want to talk just in general today about everything that went on in that interview and what we've spoken about last night. Is he a real fan? Can you actually take him for his words, to Jim Ratcliffe? He looked like he was being honest and sincere in everything that he was saying in that interview today, but are you convinced is the question I'm asking this morning. There was a lot that he said yesterday which I didn't expect to hear. I'm going to be honest. I didn't expect to hear the fact that this season and this summer we've got a transfer bill of £89 million for transfers that Manchester United still haven't fully paid for. It's an ongoing transfer bill, and this is what I talk about when you're balancing books and the finances are coming into Manchester United. That as well. We're going to talk about all of that. I want to get your comments on this because we didn't get through many comments last night, and I want to just give you your chance to have your say on this morning, just so I can gauge where everybody is at. But I want to start with when he was talking about the ticketing prices, when he was talking about Manchester United and looking after the loyal fans, the season ticket holders. Now, I'm a season ticket holder, but I think I'm very, very balanced in how I look at the fans and the fan base and what's important. And I've always banged on about this and always said this, that everybody deserves to be at Old Trafford, deserves to go and watch Manchester United, to be in that stadium. There isn't one fan bigger than the next. Just because you've been going and been a season ticket holder and you may be a platinum season ticket holder, 25 years plus, it doesn't mean you're bigger than the person who's sat in Australia right now, who's getting up at God knows what hours just to watch his team perform shit on TV every single day, knackered for his working day. People in America staying up like all over the planet. This is what this football club is. I don't think he's approached that right. And that's coming from me, who he is talking about. He's talking about me, someone who renews his season ticket. I am a golden season ticket holder at Manchester United. I go to every single game. And you know this. But I still don't feel like this is right. I don't think that he should be separating the fan base into different sections, because that was what he was saying last night. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Come at me, everybody, and tell me. But that's how I read it last night. There is a different ticketing plan in place for different fans. Now, he did also go in on the ticketing on the £66, and in his words, he said that it's 500 tickets only that are going to be charged at £66 with no concession at all. There are concession tickets at Manchester United. 100% they are, yes. We know that. My son has got one as well. So I know that they are there still at Old Trafford in operation, but he said there's only 500 tickets that are sent back that are then reallocated to other people at £66 with no concession. He talked about that, just 500. Can we believe that? That small percentage? Kieran Maguire, the football finance expert, said that and what he was doing there it fell into complete insignificance when it came to impacting any finances at Manchester United and the Bucks. He didn't go into detail on that and how much it saved Manchester United or anything down that line. It was just Gary Neville going in and saying and asking the questions that we all wanted asking. And he couldn't answer them all. He could not answer them all. And Gary Neville sort of eased up on him a little bit when he was asking him about the Glazers and how much money they've put in. I want to talk about that in a minute as well, so I'll move that separately. But talk to me about how you've seen that ticketing part, because that's the one that I want to start with the most, because that I feel is the one that is really going to trip him up. Every single Manchester United fan is the same, whether you go week in, week out, or whether you're watching it at home. And I don't think anybody supports the club any differently from where you're watching in the world. And if someone's got an opportunity to come to Old Trafford or the new stadium, which is coming, and wants to watch the game, he should be paying the same price as somebody who goes in, week out. We're all fans. The reason we're so huge, the reason we are one of the richest clubs in the world in terms of revenues, is because of every single fan around the world and the planet. Not just us Manchester people who go week in, week out. I don't care if someone pays cheaper ticket price than me. Look, I've made my decision, and many people have pulled me on it as to reasons why the Glazers are still in power. You're still going, you're still buying tickets. Look, I've said this many a times before. Manchester United Stadium will always be full. The tickets will always be sold. They'll find a way. In fact, there is a discount going around on social media at the moment, apparently, where you can get an extra free ticket for the Sociedad game. I don't know if that is true or not, but that's floating around. I was sent that yesterday, actually, about an option where you can actually have a certain amount of tickets and get another one free. I don't, and I've not looked into it in detail. I just know that there are tickets available for the Sociedad game, so that may be something that they've put in. But looking at that, I mean, just for instance, an example for me personally, I was sat in my normal seats and I have season tickets to my left, to my right, behind me and in front of me, and they're not always the same. The guy to my right is always there. That's my mate Bryce there, and his son, week in, week out. They are the people and the fans that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is talking about right now. Like myself, there every single week, and we sometimes laugh the different people coming in and sitting in the season ticket holders' seats that we know have bought the tickets at the start of the season, so they've sold them on to somebody else, and we say, oh, it's just a laugh and a joke. We say, oh, he can't be arsed with this game. This isn't entertaining enough for him. I honestly have not got a problem with it. And you know what? Just to actually make a point of this, I had Australians sat to the left of me. An old Australian guy and his son sat next to me in the game against Arsenal at weekend. Brilliant. Really excited. He must have been in his 80s. Absolutely loving it. Honestly, it's probably the most enjoyable game and atmosphere I've sat in at Old Trafford all season. Just everybody upbeat. The game obviously played its part in that as well. But just to have an Australian family sat next to me on my left in this game. Then I obviously had people in front of me as well. And he must have been from Korea, the guy in front of me. He was filming, he was doing his usual, you could say like if we call them day trippers who come in and take the pictures. I love it. Do you know what? I haven't got an issue with it at all. I haven't. He had Ji-Sung Park on the back of his shirt. He actually looked like Ji-Sung Park from behind with the haircut and everything. It was brilliant. And he actually asked me to take a picture of him. Stood watching with Ji-Sung Park behind. I'm just like, I love that. That is the perfect match day for me. Fans coming in from all over the world, watching and enjoying a real good game of football, which that was, and it just felt really good. It actually brought it back. And you've seen my vlog. You've seen how encouraged and positive I was yesterday. And that just comes from being at Old Trafford. And sometimes I feel like that's taken for granted within what is running and how Manchester United, is being run. I feel like that is what they are leeching onto and taking advantage of, because they know that stadium is going to be full week in, week out. And that is what pains me the most. That guy in front of me and the guy sat next to me should be paying exactly the same price ticket as what I do. I don't care. Nobody else cares. If there is a United fan out there that thinks because he goes to every single game, he should be paying less, than other Manchester United fans who don't get the chance to go anymore, then you're not a United fan in my eyes. You're really not. And there are fans like that. I've seen a fan inside, and this is just my personal experience, and I'm going in on this, and I haven't talked about this a lot before, but there were some, I think they were Chinese, and I'm only guessing, and obviously I don't know if that was right, but I think they were Chinese, and they were filming an away game at Spurs, and they were filming everything going on, and there was two Manchester lads behind them who were giving them dog's abuse for doing it, because they were sticking their hands up and they were filming. They were excited to be in the stadium and watching Manchester United, and I had to turn around and just say, let's let them do what they want to do. And they were going on, and they were, honestly, it was absolutely disgraceful. And you could see the fear in these fans' eyes in front. This isn't Manchester United. The fans are angry right now, and they feel, I think, some of these homegrown fans and fans that go every single week, that they have got this entitlement. They are the hardcore Manchester United fans. And yes, they do put more money in than anybody else, and they've got that tag. But they are not Manchester United fans any more than the people that are travelling in from worldwide. And so Jim Ratcliffe jumping onto that, I don't think is the right approach. I really don't think that that's on. And I honestly feel like that's going to go down like a lead balloon. And there was parts in that interview where Sir Jim Ratcliffe looked like he didn't even believe what he was answering was right. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, if you watch the video and watch the actual interview, you might have picked up on it yourself. There were moments when he's twitching around his chair. He couldn't answer Gary Neville's questions. He just couldn't. Gary Neville was brutally in on the big points that we all wanted him to talk about, especially the ticketing, the Glazers, the way that they've cut the charity. And just on that charity thing quickly, because I'm going to come to the comment section now and give you your chance to have your say on this, but the charity side of thing and how Gary Neville approached that was absolutely perfect. You're cutting £40,000 a year. Could you not just get Bruno and Harry to do an event that would get probably double, quadruple that in a charity event in the season? And even Sir Jim Ratcliffe had to come back and say, well, I didn't know the full ins and out, and we may have to look at that. We may look at that and may do that. So Gary Neville actually convinced Sir Jim Ratcliffe that was actually wrong. There was no defence for it. And I'm glad that Gary Neville went in on that one particular, because that did knock the fan base off. So I think that one in particular, definitely, in the ticket pricing, that's what I'm taking out of this more than anything. And I think they're the big points in this. But let's get into the comment section and see what you're thinking about everything that was said in that interview. Was there any points that you actually thought were even more concerning, or you were convinced that he is the right man for Manchester United? I mean, some people might have been convinced by that yesterday. I'm opening it up to everyone's thoughts on this one, so please do get your comments in. Make sure you give the video a like as well, everybody. Make sure that you have subscribed to Forever United TV and are getting your comments in the comments section. You can only do it if you are subscribed, so please do. So Jim Ratcliffe won't openly insult them directly in the Glazers because of the business relationship or an NDA. He's pointed out how bad the finances and business was done. It's just indirect. Yeah, in terms of the Glazers, he can't answer that question. Even Gary Neville said, look, I know you're the partners and you can't say anything. He understands business, Gary Neville. He has to ask a question. And so Jim Ratcliffe went in on everything financially about Manchester United. Like Dan says there in the chat, he went in on how poorly it's been run, how Manchester United have lost 330 million over the last 3 years, how Sir Jim Ratcliffe's money that he's invested has all gone. He went into detail on it, and like I said before, in terms of the transfers and how much Manchester United owe in transfers, that Gary Neville asked the question, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe was more open than I thought he would be. He answered the question and gave his insight that I don't think anybody expected, in that this summer we are going to have a bill for £89 million. It's like it's calculated in instalments, and this is Manchester United's summer instalment into them transfers. Before we even sign one player, United have to pay £89 million out of their revenues to historical transfers, as in players that we bought in the past that we're paying instalments on. 89 million out before we've even started. That's on transfers that Manchester United have brought in, like I said, but that's normal day-to-day running. I think what the point he was trying to make was, it's like most of that is normal for a football club to be paying, but also in that there is the element of, like he said, the players we've got for that money, that are not actually featuring for Manchester United right now. So £89 million on transfers is good if it's the right players, but it's clearly they're not the right players. United are 14th, and we're paying £89 million for them transfers. That's how they look at it and calculate it, and I think that's right in looking at it that way. You can look at that glass half full and say, yeah, 89 million now for players that have completely killed this football club is wrong. But then Sir Jim Ratcliffe did say that. He said, look, everything right now, once we've got everything in order regarding the structure, how Manchester United are going to run, all of the cuts, streamlining the business, we're looking at recruitment. Recruitment is the only thing that can help Manchester United go forward and start to turn a profit and be competitive again and win trophies. That's what he said. I agree with that, because it is all about recruitment, because recruitment has got us where we are now. Gary Neville did push the Glazer side of things on that as well. They're the ones that have done this, though. They're not culpable. They're not taking accountability for what they have done. And he pushed him, and obviously he cannot answer that question. He looks at it from now. He's not looking back. He's looking forward. He's doing what he does and what he knows best in balancing them books and trying to bring that debt down. And he said he will bring that debt down. Manchester United's debt will come down. The day-to-day running of the football club will be less. And obviously with today, the stadium announcement that's coming later on, we are also going to be seeing a change in revenues again and a bigger push on the positive side of things, I feel. Susie says, I do feel he came across as not very clever and naive. Need to know our Glazers getting bought out eventually. I don't think that question was ever going to be answered, even if they asked it. CRG says, yes, Sir Jim Ratcliffe had the courage to come out and answer some hard questions. Fair play to Gary for asking those questions as well. You don't expect Ineos to fix 21 years of mismanagement in 1 year. No, that's a fair point. That is a very, very good point, CRG. Let's see what else we've got in here. Very strange, Adam. You can't divide the fan base like this, Tom says. In terms of how the ticketing goes, I just don't get that at all. I don't think he is going to be. I don't think he's going to be helping his own cause in building a relationship with the fan base. I don't think it's the right way to go about it. I think someone at Manchester United who knows Manchester United needs to have a word with him about that. I mean, it's not even him. It's like he says he is trusting the structure. He is trusting the football organisation of Manchester United. He is literally believing in what his team is doing right now. He believes in the team that he's got there at Old Trafford, and that's how he's approaching it. Whether that's right or wrong for him to do, he obviously needs to make sure that they're the right people in place. And I feel like with the charity side of things, when he's asked that question, you've got to look at the fact that he didn't know much about it, and he kind of did feel really awkward about it in terms of the charity for the former Manchester United players. So really, some key decisions that have been made by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, he's not actually known about. And you don't expect him to know about every single thing going on. He's trusted in his team, like he said, but I think there has to be some part of him that gets to grips with certain decisions that are made. If he knows United and he is calling himself a real fan of Manchester United, he cannot be cutting £40,000 a year to help former players. That cannot happen. It really can't. Michelle says, the man talks BS. The fans are being charged more to cover the debt the Glazers created. He shouldn't have interfered. The Glazers would have had to sell. Yeah, but no one was there to buy. They were offering to sell, Michelle, and no one came forward. No one came forward to sell to actually buy it. That's the problem we've got. It's all right selling Manchester United, but is there a billionaire out there who has got near $6 billion to pay for Manchester United? I don't know if there is. I thought we would have had more takers, but there really wasn't much there. Jim Bob gave the Glazers $1.3 billion. Why were they allowed to pocket this money instead of paying off the debt? Because they're clever businessmen and they found their loopholes to line their pockets, mate, is basically what the situation is with that one. So Jim gave the Glazers management enough rope to hang themselves. That really is one of the bigger lines from the interview as well. He didn't directly go in on the Glazers, but saying something like that in the Glazers giving the management team enough rope to hang themselves, and they did. You could argue, is he doing the same with his management group in terms of the decisions that they've made in the first year? You could easily say that. And that, for me, and him not knowing everything that was going on with the charity side of things and cutting that 40 grand, and him actively there in that interview yesterday with Gary Neville, not knowing about it in detail, kind of shows you that he does have to sort of rein in his management group. That's the problem. That's the issue that we've got right now, I think, with Sir Jim. Like, some of his management's calls and everything that they have done so far have been in line with what they think is right, not looking at it from a Manchester United point of view, just a business point of view. You don't need to cut 40 grand. And then, like, he asked him about Dan Ashworth, another decision that he got wrong. Ten Hag, another decision he got honestly wrong. And I watched that bit and I was wondering how he would have answered that. And he did say, look, I hold my hands up, we got Eric Ten Hag wrong. The recruitment for Ten Hag in the summer was wrong as well. He actually did go in on Ten Hag and said, well, that's why there was a few Dutch players in there, which is interesting on its own, isn't it? In terms of that angle that he took on that. He mentioned there, just to explain what I was saying, in terms of the rope and giving the management team enough rope to hang themselves. He said that the Glazers did it previously, and that's why we're in where we are right now. And I think we've just got to ask that question again. Is Sir Jim Ratcliffe doing that with his management team as well, because of the decisions that they've made already? Sir Jim just wasn't sure about some of the things that Gary Neville was bringing up. And maybe he does need to go and have that conversation with his own management team as well, because I do believe that he doesn't know everything that's going on right now. And 40 grand, you wouldn't expect him to be across that sort of financial decision. It's minute, it's small. But let's be honest, if he's calling himself a Manchester United fan, you don't take 40 grand away. You don't. You don't call Manchester United fans loyal fans compared to other fans. Every single Manchester United fan is loyal. Everyone around the world is a loyal Manchester United supporter, whether you go or you don't go. That's staple. That is it. You cannot segregate. You cannot section out different cores of fans and say that they need to be treated differently to everybody else. It's not right. And that will cause unrest within the fan base for certain, 100%. Stuart says, coming from Ireland, we have to pay more to watch United. How about that, Sir Jim? I do agree we need the TRA singing, but come on, tickets should be the same for each stand. I get better view like at a concert, but yes, I get that. If you're in the North Stand, top tier, that ticket should be cheaper. Simple as. And that is just normal with any event. Like what Stuart says there, totally agree with that comment. It's the precedent and labelling the more loyal fans compared to everybody else. You think like what Stuart says there, coming from Ireland, what you have to pay, coming from everywhere. I honestly, like I just said then, I had people from Australia next to me, people from America have been sat next to me. Honestly, I've had every different nationality, nation that have travelled in to watch Manchester United play at Old Trafford. Just this season alone, I've seen everything. Absolutely everything. I've had Scandinavian people talking to me outside, people from Asia, from Dubai, from America, from Canada, all over the world, South Africa. Absolutely every corner of this nation, and every corner of the nation is like, every corner of the world, every corner of the world coming to Old Trafford to watch Manchester United. They are all equal. That's it. And I think he's forgotten, really. I think he's trying to just cover himself with the hardcore, because he goes on about actually getting a lot of stick at the moment and taking on a lot of critique that he didn't expect. And yeah, I get it. But there is no priority for any particular fan at all. The only fans that need to have priority are the fans that are in the disabled sections. That needs to be bang on point. And they need to be looked after, of course. Pensioners need to be looked after. Concessions for juniors is dead right, because they need to be given a chance to come into Manchester United and grow as a fan. And you're not going to be able to charge. children a certain amount, same as what an adult is. If you want their parent to take them to a game and be able to afford to take them to a game, you're pricing them out of that. You're going to lose the future fan because you're overpricing tickets. That's the issue that I've got there. Rosanate, I agree, Adam. We need a fan. We need fan parity. Tom says, the guy who sell me his season ticket has been 3 times this season. I've bought his ticket for the majority of the home games, says Tom. That's how it goes. Manchester United is being used as a business as well to sell tickets. That's what a lot of people do. They buy chunks of season tickets. You could call it the tout world. There are obviously some people that now cannot go. And them tickets being sold on to other United fans, got no issue with that at all. You can't always make a game. You can't get to every single game. Everyone's circumstances are different. I just don't like the fact that he's separated the fan base in what he's saying there. That's not on for me, and I don't think that's right. That principle of people paying different amounts is always been there and exists in every walk of life. If you go on holiday, everyone will have paid different amounts. We need to normalise business. No, it's not the same, Greg. I disagree with that one, mate. It's not the same at United. He's saying that fans that have actually gone to a stadium more than other fans who are sat in the same seat deserve to pay less. No, they don't. No, they don't. Every single fan, and this is a fan, this is Manchester United. It's not, I understand business side of things, but that's not the same for me. It really isn't. Different prices are there all the time, but you get a better deal on your holiday hotel room compared to someone in the room next to you. That's totally different. That's different sites. So Jim Ratcliffe's making a point of prioritising certain fans over others, and that's come from the top. That's not without any deals or discounts or things like that. That's not a normal walk of life. That's an owner of a football club making a point of saying that there are different fans at Manchester United. We're all the same. The fan base is as one. And if you want it as one, and you want that raw that you got, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was talking about in his interview with Gary Neville, you want that raw and that atmosphere at Old Trafford, then you need 75,000 people all singing on the same hymn sheet, all feeling as one. Not just a certain section in one stand. That's not right. Nigel, welcome to the Members Club, my friend. Keep your comments coming in, everybody. We're opening it up on everything. Let's get through a few more at the bottom. Block says, went to West Ham versus Newcastle last night. Free beer for home fans. Oh, man. That's something that I don't think we're ever going to see at Old Trafford. That would be nice, though. That would be nice. We as a fan base are limited on the information we get from media and the club. The whole interview was staged and scripted, but a good insight to current status. Tickets are rising with inflation 5%. We don't know, Markesh. He said it's going to rise a little bit. Let's get on to that. Season ticket prices and ticket prices are going to go up. Look, I understand prices going up over time. I'm not going against that. I just think you need to be very, very careful. Avoid different prices, like we've just said. If prices go up 5%, 10%, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that things will obviously automatically go up. Inflation goes up. And we will be paying higher prices for tickets going forward. I understand that. I think the fear is that there's going to be a huge hike. But he did actually say ticket prices will go up, but not by much. So we will see what he means by not by much. I think that, is the important thing. We are going to know, like we said before, because the Arsenal game was game 15. And after 15 games, the option is there from the club to renew your season ticket. So season tickets renewals will open up this month now. And Sir Jim did actually say you will know in the next couple of weeks what the ticket prices are going to be for renewals and going into next season. So that's, I think, something that's I think we're going to be all on top of anyway regarding shows and talking about it. But I think ticket prices are automatically going to go up no matter what we say. It's going to be interesting to see. Also, what wasn't talked about is how much the food and drink goes up. That goes up every single season. So, interesting to see if there's any hikes in any other areas, as in merchandise, shirts, programmes, food, drink, what's going to happen there, because that will bring in a lot more money for them as well. So let's not forget that. Are they going to bring in any different sort of cuisine and other types of food for Manchester United and the fans on match days? Are they going to change any of that? Because he said in the interview as well, he's not had much time. The first summer, he didn't really have much time to get to grips with everything. He's only had one board meeting with every single member there. And he said in the interview that he had a really good board meeting with everybody on board and looking in the same direction with a goal to make Manchester United great again. He feels confident in his board level. And he actually said, and he was bullish enough to say in that interview yesterday, that he feels that Manchester United will be profitable. And it's good to have goals. And in 2028 isn't realistic for Manchester United to win the Premier League. I mean, that is unrealistic. I'll say that because of the work that he's got to do and the financial situation he was talking about yesterday. But, I mean, come on, let's be honest. He isn't going to be winning the league in 2028 with Man United. I would be absolutely astounded if he did. But, look, go with your goals, mate. Go with your goals. Boxing said the new stadium is all Sir Jim cares about and makes him an absolute fortune. It will. It will. But he did say, what do you think to the comment he made in the interview where he said, rather than give a free meal, I'd rather save that money and spend it on a player that could help Manchester United win a title. What do you reckon to that comment? Is that just a little bit too over the top? Are we really behind that sort of comment? Is cutting out free meals for staff really going to impact the finances enough to go out and buy a type of player that United need? He says look after the pennies and the pound look after themselves. It's an old saying, I know that. But I do get it. And I get the fact that 95% of this country don't get free meals and free dinners. No, I've never had a free dinner. Has anyone else had a free dinner from work? I get that as well. And that's neither here nor there. I think the cuts and all the staff that are losing their jobs, we don't know. They might have been happy with the with taking the redundancy pay. I don't know. I don't think anyone has actually spoke to anyone on that side of things. But I think they will be forgotten about in time if United start doing well and the finances do start turning around. But if everything that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said and the reasons why he's doing these things turn out to be more of the same with Manchester United, the finances don't improve, the football doesn't improve, we don't see any better infrastructure. I mean, he brought up the fact that we're going to have a great training ground and training facility by the end of this year because Carrington will be redeveloped and done. We'll have that, yes, that is great. And that is what Manchester United need. But honestly, as well, when you look at what is needed for anybody to be convinced by what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was saying it's all going to come down to what happens on the pitch, is it not? It's all going to come down to what Manchester United do and turn out and what we win. I think that is the ultimate from this. And nobody's going to be convinced by Ineos until we actually start seeing success on the pitch. Ineos makes far more than United. He doesn't need United for their money. No, he probably doesn't. He absolutely dwarfs what Manchester United make in his other businesses. We know that. Stu says, I found a bit about players available to him and the wages of the players that aren't available. Very different, very different way of looking at the squad. Yeah, I said that last night as well when we were reading it out. The fact that he looks at the players that are not available in a way of how much money they're on rather than the actual quality of the player. Very strange, very financially driven, you could say. And that, I feel, is something else that isn't going to convince fans. He's looking at the money side of things rather than the quality of the players. All financially driven, like I said. And that, I think, is something else as well. It's like, yeah, you could say that the top 8 earners, only half of them are available to Ruben Amorim. But let's be honest, one of them top earners was Rashford, who was doing nothing. One of them was Anthony, who was doing nothing. One of them was Casemiro, who was doing nothing. One of them was Mason Mount, who hasn't really done much when he's played either, let's be honest. You cannot use the finances and how much players are on to judge whether that player is good enough. Leave the football talk out of it, Sir Jim. You deal with what Manchester United need in backing your manager. But one good thing to take from it yesterday, please do give the video a like, everybody, as well. Before we get finished, we want to hit that 200 live like mark, so get into the likes, please, everybody. Give the video a like. Make sure you have subscribed to Forever United TV as well, please, everyone. One good thing that we did take from that was fully backing Ruben Amorim and what he's had to deal with, the circumstances, the injuries, the club, everything that's going on. He feels like Ruben Amorim is going to be at the football club for years to come, which is great. He likes the way he is. It's been made clear. Omar Barada has also come out and said that Ruben has made it very clear of what he wants. He backs the way that he has been with the players. He backed him with Rashford and Antony in getting rid of everybody. He likes that type of character. He wants him to do things his way, and that's what the manager needs to do. And he's dead right on that one. That's something that Manchester United have never done. We've never had an ownership or a structure that's backs the manager fully. And they talked about the mistake that he talked about the mistake that they made in keeping Ten Hag. It just wasn't right. When he talked about Dan Ashworth, all he could say was there was no chemistry. Clearly just didn't like him. And he tried to back himself up by saying, look, we have made mistakes, but we are committed to fixing mistakes that we have made, and we will make the decision on something like this, or a big decision like sacking someone or moving someone on or anything like that. If it's in the best interest of the football club, we will just do it. We're not going to wait around. We're not going to see. We're just going to act quickly. We're just going to get things done, which in a way is good. And I do like that side of things. I do like the fact that we are going to get quick, direct decisions, and they're not going to mess around, and it's not going to linger. But still, you have to look at everything that he's done so far. And again, it's the convincing factor. You're still not convinced as a Man United fan. That's what we're looking at. We have a poll running as well. Make sure you vote on it quickly before we finish. Has your opinion on Sir Jim changed? Yes, for the better. Yes, for the worst. Undecided. No, I still don't like him. Leading the way is undecided. Level with yes for the better. So 28% of you have actually said that you've been convinced by that interview and your mind has changed over Sir Jim Ratcliffe, which is really interesting. I didn't expect that at all, to be honest. But no, it did come across in certain ways, that interview. What I want you to do next is please do get your comments in below on the comments section. I'm going to leave you with it there. I want as many comments as you possibly can get in. Have you been convinced, or have you changed your mind about Sir Jim Ratcliffe? Drop that into the comment section when the video is finished, everybody. I'm a little bit busy today, so I'm going to shoot off right now. Quickly, just before we go, I think we did get a super chat in there from Ant. Thanks for that, buddy. Didn't like how he came across. Attention hungry, he reckons. Get them sorts of comments in on the comment section, everybody, below. Make sure you give the video a like on your way out. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I know it was a slightly earlier show again this morning, and not everybody's up and at it and ready. But we still had well over 1,000 in the room with us there as well. So really appreciate that, everyone. I will see you all later on. We have got extra content coming today as well. Obviously, we've got the stadium announcement coming up also. So please do make sure that you hit the subscribe button, bell notification as well, so you know when the next bit of content is coming. Thank you, mods. Thank you, members, for helping out in the chat. Great morning start. Great start to the morning, even. I'll see you all later.